And the two apps that I use are, then go to the chart. Yeah, Fishing Times Free, which we couldn't fit it all on here, but this is called Fishing Times Free. That's the name of the app. And then there was one other one, I don't know if we have it on there. Yes, here we go. That was the Lunarscape. Lunarscape?
Lunarscope.
Lunarscope, is that on there?
At the bottom.
Yeah, okay. It's on there. All right, so those two, one you can track the moon phases, and you can move forward and back on that, and it'll give you the date and where it's going to be, so you can kind of look ahead and behind. And then the other one, if you go back to that end, this one gives you the majors and minors, and we'll get into that. Let's start first, though, with what is the solar-lunar theory, and how I discovered it, and how I put it into practice. So, as we learned in school, when we were going through maybe junior high, high school, and all that, and was that the sun and the moon, naturally, in a nutshell, rotate around the Earth, and as they rotate around the Earth and become in different positions throughout the day, they have a gravitational effect on the Earth, and that's seen in the salt water in tides. Very easy to spot it because the water's rushing in, rushing out, the water's lowering and raising. So that, it affects fishing. Everyone is a saltwater guy. They love their tides. They follow the tides. But when you're inland and you're fishing around Valley or Spruce Run or Merrill Creek, there's also effects that happen. And they've been able to measure in freshwater now that the sun and the moon and the gravitational pulls also do affect the water levels to a very slighter degree. But they also create activity periods. And that's the key, is knowing how to identify these activity periods. These activity periods come and go in the form of majors, right here, majors and minors. Usually 4 per 24-hour cycle. And you'll usually end up fishing, if you're fishing during daylight hours, you'll encounter usually 2, one major, one minor throughout the day. And that chart will keep turning as you increase your days on your app. You'll see when you put the app in. And my goal today is to have everyone recognize and become familiar with solar theory, not while you're fishing, we'll do that after, but to recognize the activity periods in normal everyday life, when you're just out anywhere you may be. You could be in your backyard, and you'll see birds chirping, you'll hear birds chirping, you'll see squirrels running, you'll see deer come across, you might see a raccoon, or some animal that you normally wouldn't see, and you see him. You'll notice these changes if you're looking for them. And then you'll pull your phone out, look at the app, and go, son of a gun, it's a major. If you can recognize and convince yourself that these things do exist, that's half the battle. And then when you put it into play, and you tailor your day towards these majors and minors, it's even more apparent to you. So it will become. Now they're not carved in stone. They don't happen like sometimes they do, like that. The fish turn on, and everybody's been fishing and says, man, they were hitting like crazy, and then they just shut off. Well, you just went through probably a minor period, which are much more intense, but they come and go quicker. The majors are spread out more, hour and a half, and they're more powerful, but they're spread out over a longer time frame. So those are the things that you start to notice and you start to see. Now, when the onset of live sonar came in, versus 2D sonar, you could see the fish moving in real time. And that's where the marrying of these two concepts of live sonar and watching the fish activity on the sonar, and then correlating it to moon phase and activity periods, majors and minors, they came together for me even stronger. This is just the last 10 years or so, 8 to 10 years. And so lunar theory's been around since the 40s. So it was invented by a guy named John Alden Knight. Lived in, I want to say, northern New Jersey. And he developed the solar charts based on the tides and based on his observation in life. And here's the book that pretty much changed my fishing life and just life in general, because I think of it and I use it and I observe it every day. Moon Up, Moon Down is the book. If you're going to read any book, this is the Bible. I highly recommend everyone in this room try to somehow, some way get this book and read it. It will change your perspective on not only fishing, hunting, life, relating to people. He's got so many stories in here and so many observations of life, it's amazing. So this book is really made a difference for me to start, and I can go through examples, and I'm going to go through some examples of fish and key fish that were caught by paying attention to solar activity periods. I don't try to stay. Okay, so how would you use this in your normal life? If you're still working, you have limited time. You can pick your time, but you're basically limited. You're only fishing on weekends. You have to do something in the afternoon. So you pull your app up day before, look in there, see what, and I would base it on not so much weather, wind, weather. They're all factors that affect every living thing. But I would try to go around these times, because that's going to increase your odds. The more you fish, the more you'll see it. Again, it's not carved in stone, but there are trends that you will definitely see. And how does the whole thing work? So when the solar effect starts to happen, it affects all the living things, but the smallest organisms are the ones that it affects the most consistently, like microorganisms, phytoplankton, zooplankton, which the herring feed on, and even the scuds, those little shrimp in Round Valley, they feed on that. The herring may feed on that. The lake trout feed on the scuds. The herring get moving. Now the browns and rainbows and the lake trout are feeding on the herring, and you're trying to catch the game fish. So it goes right up